Hello everyone, in this video we're going to play Dragon Rampant solo with a very customized narrative. Hello everyone, welcome to MJ Hobby Corner. I am MJ, I will be your host in this video, and this is a solo game of Dragon Rampant. Gives me a break from all the scratch building I've been doing, and this game will be played in 15 millimeters. So why don't we check out the narrative first, and then we'll see the board and introduce the forces and get playing. So we have two major clans. The Quetzal clan, which lives in the higher elevations, the cloud forests that overlook the Moran River complex. Think Amazon. The Moran River is actually a branch of river, one of the main branches of river that comes out of an even larger river that innervates this entire tropical area. Lizardmen and other kinds of insect humanoids and things. They're the dominant sort of species in the area, together with humans and jungle elves and even jungle goblins. Okay, so this area is very much populated by these clans and tribes. The Quetzal, who live up above, have come down and for quite some time now are taking resources from territories that the Slanead have basically made theirs. So they are fishing and hunting and taking resources and even artifacts that belong to Slanead territory. And the Slaneads have pretty much had it at this time, but the Slanead king, who is a green dragon who actually brought the tribes together, this water-loving species of dragon, a very clever individual, is giving an opportunity to the Quetzal tribe to meet and come discuss the what's going on and see if they can come up with some agreement. Well, the Quetzal king, who is another dragon, a very ambitious dragon, does not answer the call. Instead, their answer is an attack on one of the Slanead villages within the Shadowmire, which is a wetland region. Now, it is the dry period of the lowland forest, which means the waters have receded back into the branching river, the Moran River, and they have not flooded. During the monsoon period, that river will swell. This whole region floods. The villages that Slanead have in this region are all up, usually up in the trees. So all the little huts that you see on the tabletop, those will usually be taken down during the floods and moved up into the trees. There are little huts within the canopy and up above in the trees and up on stilts where the Slaneads then wait out the floods. Okay, but this is the dry season, perfect opportunity for Quetzal to attack. And here is my representation of the Shadowmire. This is the board we will be playing, and this is a small region within the Shadowmire where the waters have receded back into the Malon River complex, and we have these pools of water that are left behind, which are actually giant crocs that build these pools, and the Slaneads herd these crocs and use them in battle as well. So this is the board, and this is pretty much all of this is scratch built. These are the two tribes with Quetzal on this side, and we have Slanead on this side. And Quetzal tends to have larger lizardmen. Slanead have smaller amphibian humanoids, smaller lizardmen as well, but they also use a lot of war beasts. So for the Quetzal clan, we have giant spiders, which I have as lesser war beasts. We have the tribal chief that is leading this attack and his two bodyguard. They are elite foot. We have a unit of elite riders, and these are the elite riders of Quetzal and lizardmen mounted on raptors. We have archers, light missiles, a unit of them. And we have a unit of cloud warriors. And these are small lizard man humanoids that once belonged to the Slaniad tribe, but have now gone with Quetzal. Slaniads, we have a giant croc, and he is a greater war beast. We have a unit of lesser war beasts. These are river serpents, and they are poisonous. And by the way, those two stands make one unit. We have the chief of this village and his bodyguard, which are elite foot. We have a pair of dimorphodons, and these are giant amphibian humanoids, and they play the role of that trolls and ogres play in other armies. We have two of those. And by the way, they are bellicose foot. These are small Slaniad warriors, tribal warriors. There's a unit of them. And we have a unit of frogmen, light warriors. This is a light foot unit for the frogmen. And that is it. About 26 points of armies. Who am I playing? The attackers, the Quetzal, or the defenders? Slaniad. 1 through 3, the attackers. 4 through 6, the defenders. I am playing the Slaniad defenders. The AI will be the attackers. So the forces are deployed in this overhead view of the jungle. And I will start over here. Quetzal has tribal warriors and 1 wizardling in that unit. We also have the giant spiders, and that is the right flank of their attack. And then here on the left flank, what I will call the west side of the board, we have the cavalry. On the other side of the pond, we have the archers, and we have the tribal chief himself on the west flank of the board. In the middle, I deployed all my forces, and then we have the giant croc there. We have some tribal warriors. On my side of the board, which is basically the middle, I am being attacked by 2 sides. I have my tribal warriors here, my giant croc. They are being supported by the giant croc. We have the frogmen with the little wizardling, who's the purple guy. And we have my dimorphodon, which are supporting those troops. The middle of the bridge, we have my tribal chief and his bodyguard. They're rushing down to the fight. And then we have the river snakes deployed right here. And they do have venom. So that is the deployment. Let's get this game started. So turn 1 goes to the attackers, and the first thing we do in phase 1 is to rally battered units. We have none since this is the beginning of the game. So we go to activate wild charges next. So here on the east side of the board, we do see that there are some units with wild charge. We have the giant spiders here. In the center, I have my bellicose unit that has wild charge. The giant croc has wild charge. And on the left side of the board, the elite riders have wild charge. However, in order for wild charge to activate, you do need range to the target and be able to attack. That is not the case here. I am using centimeters. So spiders activate on 6+ for movement. So we roll 2 dice. Ooh, exactly a 6. So they're going to move 12 centimeters towards the giant newts. So 12 centimeters, put spiders right here, and they are fleet-footed. That is one of their abilities. All right, now they're facing the giant newts. The salamander warriors are trying something sneaky, moving under the tangle, and they diced a 6 activation. They only need 5s to move. So, okay, they're coming around, and that's their unit with magic. Over on the west side, the tribal chief goes to move, but he only rolls a 4. He needs 5s in order to move. So he's going to use his commanding ability, which is fine for them. He rolls a 3 and no fails his commanding ability, and his army stays right where it is. And now it is my turn. So now the newts test for wild charge, a 5+. This is basically an attack. A 6 and a 4, yes, a 10, successful. So they charge in and they attack. That is the only thing they can do. Okay, so now picking up 12 dice because they are at full strength. Attack value of 3+. So they have a pretty low attack value, which is great. So rolling 12 dice for them. Okay, that's quite a few hits. And now the spiders defend on, what is their defense value is 6. So they take 12 dice. All right. So spiders have a couple of hits with their defense. And that is it. Okay, so the newts did 11 hits, all but 1 die hit. And so the spiders have armor 3. So every 3 hits is 1 strength point damage. So the newts do 3 strength points damage. These get blocked by the carapace, so these won't count. So we have 3, and they are down to half strength. A very good attack by the giant newts. So they are now at half strength, which means instead of 12 dice, they're going to use 6 dice to test courage now. So they roll 2 dice. Their courage is 4+, and we subtract the number of strength points that were that hit them. So that's a 5 minus 3 strength points is 2, and the spider's courage is a 4, and so they do not make their courage. So they are battered. They retreat 3 centimeters, because I am using centimeters, and then they are battered. My frog shaman is going to do a spell. They don't have any wild charge or anything like that, so we can move on to ordered activations. I'm going to choose Almighty Prod, which is going to be cast on these guys here. And if the unit fails its next ordered activation, immediately re-roll the test once. The spell ends immediately then. So it is a 6+ difficulty. So let's see if he can pull this off. Okay, he pulls it off, and they have the Almighty Prod. So until they roll their next ordered activation, if they fail, they have a way to counter it. Okay, and the River Snakes failed their move activation by 1 point, and now commanding is not going to help him. He already used commanding. They're not even in range, I don't think. So basically my turn ends there. We move to turn 2, but at least I got the more important units to move. Turn 2 and a lot has happened. There were a couple of failed activations. My turn ended with maybe 1 or 2 units not being able to move. That's fine. That's the fog of war. Now, has Swordfang made an error by splitting his forces like that and attempting a pincer movement? Maybe he has. Only the dice can tell. As for me, I'm going to stick in the middle, stay in the middle, try to keep my force together so that I can use my spells and my commanding ability to do rerolls when that fog of war hits. Now, the highlight of turn 2 is that the elite riders have diced and moved into the difficult terrain, the pond. They can cross the pond, not a problem, but they are in difficult terrain, so their movement is halved. And then we have the archers who are about to dice to do a shooting attack on these serpents. Now, they are within 18 centimeters, which is the range, maximum range of the bows. However, they're going to get a -1 because it is over 12 centimeters. Do 3 strength points of damage. They have strength 0.6, so just like I did to them, they are now at half strength. I'm going to remove one base, and this one base represents the 3 dead ones. So they are now at half strength. All right, so a good roll by the archers. They took out some of those serpents, which is the only thing blocking them at this point. And the red tribal salamanders of Quetzal fail their activation, and it is now my turn. But that's okay, they've managed to move most of their units. At the beginning of my turn, I have to check wild charges. I don't have any rally actions. So checking for the newts, they have a 5+ attack. So let's see. 5, just in time. Now they do have a reroll if they failed because of that spell, but we're going to remove that because it is their next activation, and they're going to charge into those spiders yet again. The giant newts roll their 12 dice, hit on 3s, beautiful. The spiders only get 6 dice because they're at half strength, and they need to roll their defense, which is 6. Oh, okay. Okay, so the giant spiders have armor 3. The newts have done 6 hits, so that is 2 strength damage to the spiders. And here, the spiders do 3 hits. One of them bounces off the armor. It's an extra one. And the armor for the bellicose foot is 2. So they do 1 hit. So we're going to remove a strength point from the newts, and that puts them at 9. They're still good though, and spiders take another 2 hit. Morale for the spiders test at -2, no other condition. So -2 is 6. They still pass morale, so he retreats 3 centimeters and is battered. So end of turn 2, and the enemy salamanders are trying to move around underneath the trees, trying to move around and towards the center. We'll see if they make it. We have the battered spider here, only one of them left. He won't last long, I don't think. And there's the 2 giant newts, the frogman shaman, which is the little purple guy there. During his activation, he successfully cast a heal spell, so I remove 1 strength damage from the newts. They are within 18 centimeters. My leader is moving towards the bridge ever so slowly, trying to get his command trait within range of some of these units. And we have my little salamanders are dangerously close to that board edge, but moving closer to the enemy tribal chief, Swordfang himself. And then we have the archers here with my snakes, who didn't have enough range to do their spit attack. It's only a 6 centimeter range, so unfortunately we couldn't do that. And then the riders are coming slowly after dealing with difficult terrain, and that ends turn 2. Okay, so first thing we do is we have to try and rally the spider, and you are supposed to deduct the strength points from the courage test when rallying. That is the damage strength points that the spider has. Now, it has suffered 5 strength points up to this point, so we're going to roll a courage test. That was my mistake last turn. So 8 minus 5 gives me 3, and the spider fails its courage test and now receives another battered marker, which means it is out of there. And the reason why it is out of there, with the second battered marker, it only had 1 strength point left. With a second battered marker, it receives an extra point of damage, which brings it down to 0, and that destroys the spider. And on the enemy turn, the tribal chief has just successfully diced an attack roll, which was 5+. He rolled a 7, so he's going to move in 8 centimeters, which moves him right into my warband and let's see what happens. Okay, this is gonna hurt. So the tribal chief's attack value is 3+. He uses 12 dice at full strength. Okay, he's got quite a few hits there. Now I use my defense value. I use my 12 dice. So 12 dice, 4+. Okay, let's tally up the hits. Okay, here are the hits. Well, the opponent scores 9 hits right here. I only score 5 hits. So now let's divide it according to the armor. The Salamander Tribal Warriors have 2 armor. So this, if I group it in 2s, that's 3, 4 damage. And this one bounces off the armor. It's extra. This one goes away, it bounces off the armor, and there's 4 dice left, so that's 4 hits. That is 1 strength point to the tribal leader. And they only have 6 strength points. So that's 5. Okay. And the tribal chief, because I got a -1, has caused these guys to run away from the table. They failed their courage test at a negative number. Oh, that is harsh. Okay, so we are nearing the end of Quetzal's turn. And they've inflicted enough damage that my blue salamanders ran off the board. They took 4 casualties. That was it. They failed their courage test. And just with a negative number, no less. So they're out of the board. That's a blow to Slaniad. That means that right now, I was in the lead at turn 2. I had 1 point at the end of turn 2, beginning of turn 3. I had 1 point because the spiders died, all of them. So that's 1 glory. But now with this unit, Quetzal ties it. We have to break this tie. At the beginning of this turn, wild charge has to be checked. There is no rallying for the enemy, so we now have a wild charge by the elite riders, and their attack is a 5+. Yes, they successfully wild charge. They do a charge and just puts them into contacting their 12 dice and hitting on 3s. I don't think I'm going to have much of a chance. All right, 6s and 1 hit. Okay, well, let's see the results. And the results are here. The elite riders do 3 hits. They're already arranged by armor. The serpents have armor 3. They no longer get the benefit of cover, so they are at armor 3. 3 hits. They only do 1 damage, and that bounces off the armor of the elites, which is armor 4. Yeah, that's not good. So basically, this guy is eliminated. This is like playing Julie. This is the position on the west side of the battlefield. We have the tribal chief here and his elites. We have the riders who just crushed the serpents. We have the archers here. And now I have a giant croc that's coming up behind the riders there. We have to test for wild charge. That is the first thing that's going to happen in this particular turn. My leader has not been able to move from the bridge. However, we do have a threat coming, which is these guys. And these guys look like they want to get on that bridge. So now the question is, will he stand here and bog them down, don't let them cross the bridge, or does he allow them to cross and then catch them down here? The problem is that this guy is moving this way as well. So he has some tough choices to make. These guys are going to have to move this turn. They're going to have to rush over here and try to plug in this big hole. Riders do counter charge. They need 7s. And they roll the 4. They fail. This turn sees the giant crocs committing to their wild charge, committing to his wild charge, and that's a 5+. And he gets a 7. So yes, he successfully wild charges. And what is his move? His move is 10 centimeters. Oh yeah, he has plenty to move there. and so he comes right up the rear end of these riders and attacks with his wild charge. So grouping the dice, Croc does 8 hits. That translates into 2 armor points because of the armor 4 of the riders. So 2 damage to the riders, and the Croc receives 1 damage. So these bounce off his hide, and he gets 1 point of damage. All right, so Croc has strength 6. He is now down to strength 5. And riders get 2 damage. They're at strength 4 now, 1 away from being at half strength and reducing their dice pool during attacks. All right, a tough one. So those riders passed their courage test, so they are not battered, so they're ready there for a wild charge next turn. Now in the rest of Slaniad's turn, the Chief Deadmarsh, comes down from the bridge with his elite unit, and now he's facing off against Swordfang and his elite unit. So both tribal chiefs are across from each other. They're about to do battle, and then we have the frogmen who just by the skin of their teeth passed the move activation, and now they're moving to try and plug in that hole, maybe help Deadmarsh with some spells, but they're still a little bit far away. And then unfortunately my giant newts fail their activation. There's no way that they can get any benefit from commanding or from any spell, so that's it. That's where the turn ends. Okay, so Quetzal's turn begins by the riders failing wild charge with a 3. So they do not get wild charge. And now the archers are going to move to get a better shot at the giant Croc. And they roll a 2. However, yeah, and they're too far from any command. So because they're too far, 12, yeah, that's nowhere near where they are. And so that means that there is a turnover now. Okay, this is the final turn I'm playing, and Quetzal's still in the lead by 1 point. So we'll see what I can do in my turn. The first thing is the rally phase. There is no rallying to do. So they continue with the wild charge check, and there is a wild charge. So let's see what happens. So the riders are checking for wild charge, and let's see. They need a 7 or over. No, I'm sorry. It's an attack. So elite riders, it's a 5+. Yep, they do it. So they can charge, and that is where the battle begins. Okay, let's see. What are the results? A tremendous 9 hits by the riders. One of these is taken out. So 8 hits remain. That translates into 2 strength point damage, since Croc has 4 armor. So for every 4 armor, 1 damage. So that is 2 damage because they did 8 hits. So that puts Croc at half strength, but he's not down yet. Quetzal's turn ends as the red salamanders jump into the pool. They are now in difficult terrain. They are slowly moving forward. We're probably not going to see any effects of that. And now it goes to Slaniad, and the first thing they're going to do is dice for an attack. Okay. This was supposed to be the final turn. I'm going to play one more turn, just to see what happens with these 2 tribal chiefs. Deadmarsh and his unit is an elite foot. They hit on 3s, 12 strength, so very good. Quite a number of hits. And now the enemy tribal chief, Swordfang, and his unit, their defense value is a 4+, and they're still at full strength as well. So they're going to hit on 4s. Okay, alright, let's see what happens. So Dead Marsh does a total of 8 hits with his attack of 3 plus, and that translates into 2 damage because of armor 4, and the opponent only does 1 hit. Dead Marsh and his unit are elite, so they have armor 4 as well. So 1 damage to our Slaniad tribal chief. That leaves him with 5. And then 2 damage to the tribal chiefs. They already had 1 damage from before. So that leaves them with 3. So that means they're at half strength now, and there is a casualty here as well. So they have to roll a morale. So the courage is 3, minus 2 for the hits. And yep, they fail their morale, so they retreat 3, and then also are battered. So I continued again, one last time, to the next enemy rally phase, which is the after my turn. Okay, and he rolls a rally roll of 2, minus 3. So that is -1. I don't know if you carry the negative in rally tests. They're actually a courage test. But basically, he runs away with his life. He decides not to fight this. And basically, that gives me the points. So Slaniad wins. Each complete unit destroyed is 1 glory point. And of course, if a chief is routed off the board, which the enemy chief was, that is 2 glory points for Slaniad, making it 3 total, 3-2. But it was a tough fight. It wasn't easy for Slaniad. So yeah, Dragon Rampant's a great game, game by Daniel Mercy. It has received some criticism because of its chaotic activation mechanic, but that's what I like about this game. It's almost like that fog of war. You don't really know if your units are going to activate. Now there is one strategy that I use, and one little house rule, and that is to make the leader trait commanding available to all leaders, and that will, and usually just the generals take that. So whoever's your general will have commanding, and then your other your spellcasters can have spells. Usually give them spells to re-roll activations that have failed, and there's a number of spells that do that. There are also turns where, again, the chaos of war took over and units did not activate. Turns ended prematurely. So there it is. Now the question is, what is the green dragon, the king of Slaniad, going to do in retaliation for this insult? So in my Patreon, we're going to play the same game, except I'm taking the role of Swordfang. I'll be the enemy on either side. So that's going to be on our Patreon and YouTube members platform. We'll see what happens then. I think that's going to change things a lot too. So, all right, folks, a very fun game, and I'll see you soon.